What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Octagon podcast. We're going to start talking about the UFC Flyweight division after last night's UFC Edmonton with the fight between Amir Albazi and Brandon Moreno. What does it look like? What's going to happen next? I think we have a lot of things to kind of talk about and dissect with this one. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up, like the video. And as always, if you're listening on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or Spotify, turn on automatic downloads. Never miss another one. Peace.
This is Over the Octagon. Welcome to the shit show.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
So
sir.
Joel did not know that I was about to drop that.
I had no idea. That was awesome.
Still rough draft.
Great.
Still rough draft. But that's a little preview for all the Over the Octagon listeners and fans out there. We're cooking up a new intro for end of 2024, 2025. That's the preview draft right now. We're going to put some more content on there after we go to New York for UFC 309 for sure. But right now it's looking good. I'm liking it. If you're listening on the audio-only versions on Spotify or Apple, don't forget to turn on automatic downloads. Rate the show 5 stars. But that show or that song in our intro is by our very own Nick Nasty. Lose My Youth out everywhere now. Listen, anywhere you listen to music, you can find it. Nick Nasty, Lose My Youth. Make sure you download that shit. Stream it 1 billion times. Share it with all your family and your friends.
Over the Octagon. We do this shit, man. We do this.
Yeah, we do this.
What
But anyway.
What an ending to it. That was such a perfect, moment. Golly, I love it, dude. I was not expecting you to have that ready.
Yeah,
Sunday.
We're cooking.
Call
We're
me
cooking.
off. That's what's up.
I showed Nick earlier because this might be the first time ever that I think Nick was in our studio before Joel was.
Yeah.
Maybe the first time ever, but
it is.
But yeah, so I showed him already, and I knew I was going to kind of surprise you with it. So
that was so cool.
More to come. But let's get right into it. We're going to do a kind of a shorter episode this week. The fight night next week is ass cheeks. It's terrible. It's one of the worst ones. I mean, easily worst one of the, maybe worst. I was going to say of the year, but it could be one of the worst ones ever. And last night's UFC Edmonton card wasn't really that great. So for us to spend an entire, hour-long episode talking about that, nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody wants to listen to it. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves here, right? Like, we would have a more successful episode if we talked about, Tracy Cortez, Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Ribas.
That's for the fans right there.
Yeah, I think we'll do something like that in the future. But for right now, as I kind of said in the intro and what we're looking for on the thumbnail and things for UFC Fight Night Edmonton, the main event was between Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi. Brandon Moreno wins a unanimous decision. It wasn't even close. He put on
unanimous ass whooping.
It was a perfect fight from him, man.
It was so good. He couldn't have fought a better fight, to be fair. Like it was perfect.
So just by the numbers, total strikes, Moreno 132 to Albazi 63.
It's crazy.
I mean, Albazi got one takedown, and I don't even know if you could really count it, right? Like, Moreno got right back up immediately.
Yeah, I think for the first 3 rounds, I think going into the 3rd round, Albazi had single-digit significant strikes. Like, he had like 8.
Yeah, so going into the 3rd round, he had 6 strikes.
That's crazy.
Huh.
That's
That's
so
terrible,
bad.
man. He was just outclassed the whole entire fight, man. There's a big difference between the number 2 and the number 3 fighter in that division. We saw that.
Big time. Big time. So let me ask you this. Is there anybody on the planet that doesn't like Brandon Moreno?
Be hard not to. He's just a genuine dude, man.
He's the best. I mean, he's just the best guy, the best guy ever. I feel like really my motive for this episode, if anything, is this is about to just become a Brandon Moreno appreciation episode.
Yeah. What makes a fighter likable? Their heart and their personality, and he has both. And he's an all-star, dude. It was so good to watch him fight and then talk after.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here, though. Is there really any Mexican fighter that is hateable?
Man.
Can you think of a Mexican fighter that people just say don't like? Like I can think of a million American fighters people don't like, million Brazilian fighters people don't like.
Yeah.
Russian fighters people don't like.
Is there a single Mexican fighter?
Is there any Mexican? Moicano is a fan favorite, dude.
He's Brazilian.
He is. He's Brazilian?
Yeah.
Golly. Oops.
And people love him, but I mean, not that I can think off the top of my head.
I mean Alexa Grasso was not a bad champion. People liked her.
Yeah,
Yair Rodriguez is a humble fighter who became a champion. He was pretty not bad.
Yeah.
There's really not many Mexican fighters, I don't think, out there that.
Yeah, let's leave it up. Marab's not Mexican.
Yeah, I know.
Let's leave it up. He's about as Mexican as Sean O'Malley is. Actually, I'd argue O'Malley's more Mexican just because of his wife or girlfriend is actually Mexican. His daughter's half Mexican. So
yeah.
But either way, leave it up to the fans. If you are listening, and dude, if there's a single Mexican fighter in the UFC that fans don't love, let us know in the comments of the YouTube video. If you're listening on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, either comment on it or in the link in the description, there's a link you can click to where you can directly send us a text message. Do that. Let us know your thoughts on, I guess just the quality of Mexican fighters we have in the UFC.
Maybe that's why Dana really appreciates the Mexican culture, just because there's really no bad seeds,
How could you not at this point, right?
Yeah, dang, man.
I never really thought about that till you just said it, but you're so right. There's not a single one.
I can't think of really any, to be honest. I mean, like if you want to expand it out, like outside of UFC, then there's there's people who don't
maybe
like
into boxing,
yeah, sure,
like that, sure.
But
so
Chavo
after last night, so UFC flyweight division. Obviously, Pantoja's your champion. Also, for the fans and the listeners, Joel thinks that he can beat Pantoja in a fight. He told us that last night. There's another comment. Let us know how you think Joel would fare in a matchup against Alexandra Pantoja.
I think I could last 30 seconds.
I don't think you last 30 seconds, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it happens very quickly to where he gets you in a submission that chokes you unconscious.
Oh, fuck yeah. Climbs him. He said he would lose to Moreno, but could beat Pantoja.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Noel was sauced up last night, guys.
Sauced up watching the fights. So,
shit.
Anyway, the rankings of flyweight currently, obviously Pantoja's your champion. Royval is the number one contender. I think probably pretty much consensus number one. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
he just beat Tatsuro Taira.
And he beat Taira.
Right. He lost to Pantoja, and here's the other thing. Kai Asakura, who's coming over from Ryzen, is making his UFC debut in a title fight against Alexander Pantoja at UFC 310 in December, which I don't know, but could end up being the main event with Bilal and Shavkat. Bilal not being able to fight. We don't have any announcement yet. It could end up being the main event. So, you have Brandon Royval that seems to be a clear number one contender. But you do have Moreno, who just beat the other surging guy that was on a streak that everybody liked and thought was, going to be your next contender. And he beat him so easy.
Dude,
I mean, he beat the brakes off that boy.
Yeah,
his fighting
I
stance,
think I may have told you before the fight, Murky. I'm like, he looked a little bit different on fight day, but like pre-fight, like during like the weigh-ins and like the ceremony and things like that.
Albazi,
like,
you mean?
Yeah, he looked like bad, in my opinion.
Well, so first fight for him, I think in like 2 years.
Like his face was like you know when like people are like too skinny and like their face looks like you could see the bones in their face and like their skin's kind of shriveled and wrinkled. Like that's what he kind of looked like. But he didn't look like that during like fight day, like when he walked out. But like leading up to it, he did not look right. And I think I mentioned that to you before he fought. Like he had like the reverse Benjamin Button disease going on or something.
Yeah, Amir Albazi his last fight was June 3rd of 2023. So it's been almost a year and a half.
Yeah, and
since he
that's
fought,
how bad the rankings are. That dude was the number 3 contender, dude.
He beat Kai Kara-France at the time. He beat Kai Kara-France in December or in June of 2023. But you know, I don't know. I mean, Kai Kara-France lost to Moreno, right, with a body kick.
Yep.
I think maybe we were giving Albazi too much, man. I think we were giving him too much credit, possibly.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't put him ahead of. And you know, if I remember correctly, I believe that decision against Kai Kara-France was pretty controversial. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, if not most people, think Kai Kara-France won that fight against Amir Albazi anyway.
I remember something like that, man.
I don't remember the fight.
Kai Kara is no joke, man. And that has happened to him recently. I remember that. So if it's that
we may see it again, to be honest.
It's possible. He's coming off a loss. Kai Kara-France obviously coming off a win against Steve Erceg, TKO. So, I mean, all right. December, Pantoja, Kai Asakura. Right? I think Pantoja wins. I feel like the level of skill in the UFC is just
it's unreal.
It's so much higher than anywhere else. It's not even close. If we really want to like compare, we have instances to where we can compare, right? Francis Ngannou just fought in the PFL super fight against Renan Ferreira, who was like the PFL boogeyman. Everybody thought he was like the scariest dude ever.
Yep.
Francis just walked right through him.
He fucked his ass.
He destroyed him. And that is the level of talent that's in the UFC. It just doesn't exist anywhere. These guys that are champs in other promotions, sometimes we find out that they might not even be ranked in the UFC.
Yeah. Absolutely,
I don't think that's the case with Kai Asakura, but I do wonder, like, you know, I don't know how well that's going to translate. Like, Kai Asakura lost to Manel Cape.
Yeah, and Manel Cape's no joke either, man. You forgot he's in that division, man.
Yeah, but Manel Cape
would get his ass whooped by Pantoja.
Yeah, Manel Cape's ranked 8th. You know, I mean, Asakura beat him and lost to him. I think he's 1-1 against Manel Cape, but still, bro. Like,
I can honestly say I think we could very. I'm trying to think of the word. I almost went brain dead for saying it. We could very easily see basically what we just saw with Brandon Royval and Tatsuro Taira with Pantoja and Asakura. I think we could see that same thing. Like
the difference is fighting style, right? So like Pantoja doesn't really fight the same way Royval fights, obviously, with the stand-up. I think you could see what you just saw. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I agree. With Royval and Taira or with Moreno and Albazi.
Wow.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if Pantoja gets him out of there quick.
Pantoja has passed every test that he has been faced with, man. And we were looking at his numbers yesterday. He's one fight away from the most wins.
Demetrius Johnson's for the most flyweight wins.
Demetrius Johnson. That's amazing. It's like it's slept on.
Joel, break down that stat real quick. So what was the graphic that came up on the fight last night? And like,
so it was showing flyweight
most wins in
the UFC flyweight division. And obviously Brandon Moreno last night has now moved into 3rd. He was at 13 flyweight wins now, I believe. And No, I may be wrong. I think it was 12 maybe. And then Pantoja and Demetrius Johnson were at 13 flyweight wins. And then no, Demetrius Johnson was 14, Pantoja was 13, and then Brandon Moreno was 11, and then now he won and moved to 12. So now
I have it.
3. You got
All
it?
right. I have it right here in front of me. I wanted you to try to break it down while I was trying to look for it. So most flyweight wins UFC history: 13 Demetrius Johnson, 13 Joseph Benavidez,
Yeah.
12 Alejandro Pantoja, 10 Brandon Moreno, 10 Davison Figueiredo.
Yep.
So Brandon Moreno tied Davison Figueiredo for, top 5 most wins in flyweight history in the UFC last night. But yeah, Pantoja is 1 win away from tying Demetrius Johnson and Joseph Benavidez, and 2 wins away from the most flyweight wins in UFC history. I think he breaks it.
I think he does too.
Because as much as good as Brandon Royval looked in his last fight, I like Pantoja in that rematch still.
I do too.
And, so Pantoja goes out there, handles business in December at UFC 310. That puts him at 13 wins in the flyweight division in UFC history. Ties him with DJ and Joseph Benavidez, and then he goes out there, beats Brandon Royval again. He's the most winningest flyweight in UFC history.
And look and see how many title defenses he needs to tie Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, number 1
so
and
that's
2
going to
on
be
the
a different conversation, right? So, Demetrius Johnson had a lot,
like 6 or like 7 or 8.
All right, and then Pantoja. So let's see. So, because now you got all these 1FC. All right, nah, brother. DJ has a ton. All right, so
yeah, I know he does.
So he won then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Dang.
and then lost to Cejudo. But that's bantamweight, or was that
flyweight?
That was flyweight. Okay, so yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 title defenses.
Wow, that's gonna be tough.
That's gonna be
that's
gonna impossible.
Maybe that ain't not impossible, but yeah.
But then you
Pantoja's
look
34. So just keep that into perspective. Like Pantoja right now has 2 title defenses.
God damn, he has to do 3 a year.
So he could get 1 more at the end of this year, be at 3. But what we're not about to do, Joel, is try to say that Alejandro Pantoja is the greatest flyweight of all time. That's what we're not about.
No.
Okay?
I wasn't gonna go there.
I thought you were. I had a feeling you would.
What I am saying is I do believe, if I remember correctly, like DJ's title run, I guess title defenses, like in comparison to the level of competition that Pantoja's fighting now, I feel like is night and day different, because that was the argument of why they were trying to get rid of the flyweight division, because the level of competition just wasn't there. It is there now, and Pantoja's beating all of the competition.
I think it is there now. Yeah,
I agree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that would be my argument. It's like if he strung together, say 5, 6 title defenses, and granted it may not be 11, but those 6 title defenses come against Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, Kai Asakura, like elite level of flyweight competition. I feel like you could make an argument in UFC standards, maybe not all together, because obviously Demetrius Johnson went on to 1 FC and won titles, but if you're looking at the UFC, if Pantoja wins 5, 6 more title defenses and then retires from the UFC at like say 6 or 7, and based on his level of fights that or his title defenses and who he fought, I feel like you could potentially make an argument. Obviously not right now, but maybe
maybe when it's all said and done.
When it's all said and done, if he continues to win like he is, but he just gets he gets into some brawls, dude. It's going to be tough.
And the division's getting better and better, man. You have like the rising of Steve Erceg, even though he just lost. I mean, there's talent coming in that division. Manel Kape is still a good fighter if he was just consistent, man. There's some talent in there.
He's immature, man. Like
that's the same thing with Tatsuri Taira, right? Like to think that Tatsuri Taira's like done would be he's 22.
He's so young. Dude.
He's so good for 22 years old, dude.
Absolutely.
In 2 years,
he'll be a champion.
I think in 2 years he's challenging for a title.
Absolutely.
Even though he just lost to Royval. I think in 2 years, Tatsui Taira's challenging for a title.
Let's
if
be honest.
Not,
He may string together 2-3 wins within the next year and fight for one next year.
At the end of 2025. It's so possible. We just watched the number 10 ranked guy get a title shot.
Yeah.
Right? It's
if you're bringing in people from other organizations and giving them immediate title shots, who's to say Tatsuri Taira can't rematch Brandon Royval or fight Brandon Moreno or beat one of these guys in the top 3 and then immediately just go straight for the title shot, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. Right now, Taira's still ranked 5th. Kai France is 4. Amir Albazi's 3rd, but that may change Tuesday when new rankings come out after his loss. Brandon Moreno 2nd, Royval 1st, Pantoja champion. So, yeah, I think there's a path for all these guys to end up. Except for Amir Albazi. I think Amir Albazi, especially
Tatsuri Taira beats him last night.
I think, yeah, in the grappling. So, yeah, it would just Tatsuri Taira needs to get his striking up, but for sure. Yeah, I just think he's the only person in the top 5 that there's not a path or possibility at the moment to where he can fight or become a champion. Kai France, I think, is ahead of him, even though Amir Albazi, like I said, won by split decision. Then Kai
France is as good as he used to be, and I don't think he's good enough to be a champion right now either.
I don't think he's good enough to be a champion, but I do think he could potentially be one win away from a title fight.
Sure, anybody is in that division. I feel like
if Kai France goes out there and beats Brandon Royval, after knocking out Steve Erceg, title fight. If Moreno, after what he just did to Albazi, goes out. I don't know if Royval's going to wait for a title shot after 310. That's possible. So then Moreno might be.
Is that who the fight at 310 is? Is Kai France and
no? It's Pantoja and Kai.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But in Tatsuri Taira, he loses to Royval, so he's kind of stuck here. But maybe he fights Kai France. Maybe he beats Kai France. Maybe he beats. Maybe he fights Albazi. I just think there's possibilities there for all these guys to end up with a title by the end of next year, except for Amir Albazi.
Yeah.
But in the same token, on the same hand, I don't know that I see any of these guys beating Pantoja right now. He just seems he seems so good, but it's tough to judge because his last title defense was against Steve Erceg, which. No disrespect or hate towards Steve Erceg, obviously, but that was a tough fight to throw him in. I feel like,
absolutely, he did well. He's got a good future too, man. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he had some moments for sure, and his stock went up after a loss in a title fight. So, I think he justified the matchmaking, if anything.
Yeah,
I just think that the fighting style of Pantoja and is it becoming one of the best bases for MMA?
Which is what? Getting beat up first?
Just fucking, I don't understand what, it's like the DDP style, just throw everything you got. Just fucking throw the kitchen sink.
Not exactly.
Every punch, dude.
Pantoja has a really good ground game. I would almost compare Pantoja more to Charles Oliveira than I would DDP.
Fair. Yeah.
Right? Oliveira's gotten cracked and dropped, and then dudes get on top of him, and then next thing you know, it's on the ground, and they're submitted. And you're like, wait, what? I would almost compare Pantoja more to Charles Oliveira, but, yeah, he's just dangerous, dude, and he's tough as hell. He's one of those guys you can never really count out.
Yep.
But that is the current landscape.
Damn right, boy. I'll bet on you.
Let's take the last, because I think we wanted to kind of cap this at a half-hour thing. But so I want you to give your God's honest pitch and make your case. Why and how do you see yourself beating Alejandro Pantoja?
It's simple, brother. He comes in, uppercut right up the gut. Boom, he's knocked out, unconscious. Heavy hands.
It's that simple.
That simple, dude. That's it.
So
swinging a prayer, bro. That's it.
No wrestling.
Nah, fuck that, dude. He can try to take me down. Too big. I'll shove him down. Mush him.
Okay, what about no use of your reach or length at all? I mean, he's obviously a lot smaller of a guy.
You can say it. His weight. No use of your weight either.
Yeah, no use
Yeah,
of your weight.
I would use my weight. Yeah, with that uppercut right up the gut. Boom. Knocked out. Cold.
All right, so you heard it here first. We have an official call out.
Nah, fuck that, dude. I like Pantoja.
Yeah.
I'd rather beat up Amir Albazi. Give me him.
Yeah, fuck Amir Albazi, dude.
Yeah, dude.
He's
needs
from
to be
Iraq.
number 8.
That's a problem. You know what I mean? Anyway. So that's the UFC flyweight landscape. Dude, if any, I just love Brandon Moreno so much.
I do too.
After last night, like he took months off. He took a decent amount of time off, but not like, let's see. So he lost to Royval in February. So he said he was going to take like a year off, but he really didn't. He took 9 months off.
I mean, that's a decent amount of time.
Yeah, but I mean, Amir Albazi took a year and a half off.
It's true.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Except Moreno in 9 months, like did whatever he needed to do to really level himself up. Albazi clearly did not.
And it was clear that he did.
He was crisp, man. His stand-up, guys, was absolutely amazing. The way he would set up his strikes and combinations, and they were long combinations. You don't see people throw long combinations anymore, man. There was a kick, started with 2 punches, closing with the kick. It was good to watch, man. I want to see this Brandon stay. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. I heard the crowd saying that last night.
They were.
So did I. Yeah, I think I just, dude, he is such a good dude. Constantly, like, he has the most positive attitude. He never says anything negative. He's always smiling. He's always happy. He's humble in wins. He's humble in defeats. He's
a really big nerd, which is kind of funny. Like, he's like a super nerd outside of fighting.
Brandon Moreno.
If you ever watch like some of his videos of like docu-series of him in his personal life, he's just like a mega nerd.
I love that.
And it's funny.
Nerds kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Imagine getting your ass whooped and then the guy goes home and does like a Lego sculpture.
That's Demetrius Johnson, you know?
I know. It's like, hey, yeah.
It's true.
Mighty Mouse is like that too.
Well, that might
all that kind of stuff.
That might be the answer to your previous question.
Yeah,
being a nerd may be the best base for being an elite MMA champion. That's true.
Yeah. Look at the fighting nerds. They're coming up, dude.
Yeah, that's
is about to knock Neil Magny out next week, dude.
Well, and you saw Poton was training with them.
Yeah, that's dangerous, bro.
Bad news for anybody.
Those guys over there are something special coming up.
Yeah.
I love it.
God.
All right, well, that's pretty much all we got for this week. It's a shorter episode because, like we said last night, the card as a whole was kind of like maybe a 3 out of 10. Some good moments, but not a great card by any stretch. And then next week's fight night is even worse, if not the worst of all time. Shame on the UFC for giving us a Neil Magny main event.
Fucking whack.
Wow.
It's a first round finish, dude.
Yeah. It's not going to be. Yeah, it is. It's not going to be good. So we're going to kind of just take it easy this week. Next week, we will be putting out UFC 309 preview. And then the following weekend is UFC 309 between John Jones and Stipe Miocic from Madison Square Garden live in New York City. And the boys will be there. We'll be in attendance. We're super excited. Fuck yeah, boys. Anything else before we get out?
Brandon Moreno's the dude.
Brandon Moreno's the fucking GOAT.